6th Bomb Battalion, and he's overseas in Afghanistan. I'd like to thank Michelle Obama and Jill Biden for what they're doing today for military families. Hi, Willie. I love you. Here you are.
It's Monday, April 18, coming up live on a special edition of the Red, White, and View. First Lady Michelle Obama and wife of the Vice President, Dr. Jill Biden, are telling you how they're joining forces to make sure every American supports the families our men and women of the armed forces leave behind when they're fighting for our freedom.
For the men and women of the United States military, it's a pleasure to be on The View today to meet the First Lady Michelle Obama and Dr. Biden.
Then, they're giving you a rare glimpse into the private life of two of the most public figures in the world, sharing how their families handle life under the microscope and how their husbands are sizing up their competition in 2012. All that, hot topics, and more, coming up live on a special edition of the Red, White, and View.
To a very special edition of the Red, White, and View. First Lady Michelle Obama and wife of the Vice President Jill Biden are here, and our entire audience is filled with members of our military and their families.
Yes.
Out, you stood up for us. I would like us to stand up for you. Thank you.
All right.
Are you okay?
Yeah, you know...
You're always dropping your microphone. I thought today would be a different day.
No, I just hiked my skirt up because I couldn't sit down with the skirt. And then I thought, uh-oh, as I was pulling them up, and then I remembered I had pants on, so I feel very comfortable with it now. Now, Elizabeth, you have kind of a wonderful gift you wanted to pass along to the Obama girls.
I did. You know what? I'm so excited to see the First Lady. I'm sitting with Grace, and I told her, you know, our entire audience is going to have military families, military men and women, and the First Lady is coming to Mommy's work. And she said, Sasha and Malia's mommy? I said, yes. And she said, I need to write them a note. So she went, she said, can I have the computer paper? So I knew it was special. When she goes for the laser printer paper, I know it's a big deal. So she went in and she made these 2 cards for Sasha and Malia. And it was, I just watched her do it.
Sasha.
This is for Sasha. And it says on the inside, she drew an American flag with all the stars. Your dad is a good president.
Oh, that's so sweet. And then what she did for Malia?
And then Malia, I mean, she was so focused. I just watched her do this, and it was, you know, just a good mom moment, you know, to see her do it. And she said, your dad is a brave president, is what she wrote to Malia. And she made me promise to give them today, and so I'm honored to be able to do that.
Because remember, when I said Jeffrey came up, we went swimming, we had dinner at your house, we came to the front door, and there's a picture of President Obama on the door.
Grace draws a lot.
She draws a lot of the First family. She should be their artist.
It's so funny. And I said, do you want me to ask the First Lady anything? And she said, can they come over after the show? I said,
Yeah. Well, that's kind of wonderful. Your kids are wonderful. You know what I realized as I'm listening to this is that they've never known any other president. But President Obama.
This is their president. You know, when I say, and I think
not
it's
if
important.
you're very little, you don't. Yeah.
No,
well,
I mean, it's
but
important
they know.
for
I mean, they're cognizant now. I mean, at 4 or 5, sorry, 4 and 5, it's like wow. It's so kind of wonderful. Anyway, that was me just going off. Anyway, did you know that Thursday it was announced that All My Children and One Life to Live were both being canceled?
Yeah.
Canceled, gone.
We have
It was
grown up.
news to us, and it really kind of blew us away because both shows have been our neighbors. You know, they're right across the hall from us.
It's the only soap opera I ever knew as a child or a grown-up. I never, All My Children, I mean, it started, when Zsa Zsa Gabor was a toddler, I think.
Susan Lucci's been on.
My grandmother.
Susan Lucci's been on for 41 years, but you know, people have asked why, and it's because we have all these reality shows.
Right, yeah.
Whatever you can possibly put in a soap opera now, you know, birth, death, jail,
it's
sex,
all the housewives.
everything. But I will say, you know, we all found out on Thursday, but Brian Frantz, who's the head of Daytime, was, when he announced it, although it's a terrible shock, he was about as sensitive. He was almost in tears himself. Because this is not just, these are not just soap operas. This is sort of part of the American landscape in a way. Now,
But you know what's ironic? You're saying that we're used to reality shows. Reality shows are almost scripted these days. I mean, when you talk to these people, we have them on the show, and they say, you want to fight? We'll give you a fight. That's like a scripted thing to say. I will give you what you want.
It's still real people, whatever you want to call it. And it has meant that there's a different audience. And the audience when... You know, when our parents were growing up and I was growing up, it's a different audience.
I want to say, I'm sorry, I remember being 4 years old before I could go to school, and my grandmother used to have 2 TVs, and she would watch All My Children, and she'd have, like, Ryan's Hope on, and I just remember she would put my hair in plaits, and I'd be watching Erica.
Put your hair in what?
She'd plait it up, she had braids, she would braid it all up.
Plaits, P-L-A-I-T-S, plaits.
I never...
Yeah, and so I would sit there and watch Erica Kane, and that is, I've always known Erica Kane since I was
now look
a
at how you're dressed. So Erica Kane.
So Erica Kane.
Yeah.
Very good, but it's a sad moment.
Now, you know, as we said, our entire audience is filled with military and their families, and Disney is proud to support them with services like special tickets and room prices at Disney theme parks, donating 25,000 books to the United Way. So it's kind of amazing, you know. It's Disney's doing a lot, and we're really happy. And I see 25,000 books for the United through reading program, so deployed troops can read their kids' virtual bedtime stories. That wasn't me. It said United. And there was nothing else. And I thought, well,
what we got going on?
What could it be? It could be the United Way. It could be the United States. I'll go with Way, and somebody will tell me it's wrong. Anyway, Disney's doing really wonderful things because we believe in military families, and we know you do too. So when we come back, we're coming back with even more Hot Topics, because that's how we roll. Barbara, tonight's the night of your amazing special on the royal wedding. Please tell everyone why they cannot miss this, please.
Okay, I will. I went to London to do this. This is the real inside story with people who know William and Kate. You know they're getting married a week from this Friday, and you will have pictures that you've rarely seen before and interviews. It is glamorous. It is fun. William and Catherine. She's now Catherine, not Kate.
She's Catherine.
Oh, she's Catherine now.
She's Catherine.
I had no idea.
We call it a modern fairy tale. It is on ABC tonight at 10, 9 Central. Let me show you a little bit.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Okay, this will tell you the kind of planning that's been taking place. Okay?
Yes.
Knees up.
A royal wedding may look like pure romance, but behind the scenes, it's more like a military campaign with literally thousands of details to be executed with clock-like precision. Cleaning the royal carriages, polishing the royal hooves, tuning the royal trumpets. For more than 20 years, Sir Malcolm Ross planned the royal family's ceremonies, everything from weddings to crown deliveries. We're just a few weeks away from the wedding. What's left for the last minute?
Nothing is left for the last minute.
Really?
Absolutely nothing. Now, in the palace, in the Middleton household, wherever it is, everything will have been arranged, ordered, and it will be available for the day.
What could go wrong?
Nothing will go wrong. There is no room for error.
Scary.
It's done.
But nobody does it like the British.
sinister.
It's not just the ceremonies. You know, the parade, the horses, the carriages,
yeah.
the pageantry, and nothing. What if she messes up the name?
know.
What if the tiara
Would they
falls
be
off
upset if they just
She's
like
so-
said, "I want to elope"? Like, would it be
Okay.
just a?
You know, you lead right into the next thing I was going to say.
Oh, really?
Because William, for many years, blamed the media for his mother's death. And even as a little boy, you know, he hated it all. And I'm sure he'd like to just go off in some small town and get married. But that's not to be. And it almost started, we have this footage, which is very rare, is William with his father, Prince Charles, when he first saw cameras. Take a look.
Camera, that's right. The people in there. Look at them. Look, see the faces. Trapped.
Did you hear what he said? Trapped. It either means that the paparazzi is trapped or that William is trapped.
I thought he meant because he was saying to William that there are people in the camera and they can't get out. They're trapped in there.
Yeah,
That's what I thought he meant. Yeah.
It's just ironic, the word trapped, because they are trapped, the royal family, in that family.
One
They
of the
can't get
people
out.
we talked to was William's press secretary after his mother died when he was 15 years old. And she talked about how stubborn he was and how, you know, he didn't like the press. But she also said, not for anything would she want to be a member of the royal family. And I've heard some people say, poor Kate, you know, what a life she's going to have. And I think, but what a wonderful life it can be.
Well, an opportunity to help people, too. I think the
I
platform
guess it's your
is
paradigm,
incredible.
how you choose to look at it when
Okay.
you go into it.
I think she's going to be okay.
And everybody wants to be a queen at some point.
Yeah.
All I know is they better have a cash bar, because that thing must be costing a fortune.
I'm going to measure things.
They measure the glass.
What do you think is going to cost a fortune?
The wedding.
Yeah, well,
Who
it's
pays
just-
for it?
How
Did
much
it-
does
did
her
both
parents have to pay?
The Queen, you know, all the pageantry and everything is paid for by
Does
the
Catherine's
Queen.
parents have to pay for any of
Well,
that?
they don't have to, but they'll probably pay the hotel and the
That's a
bridesmaids
lot,
and that.
yeah.
I think they can afford it. Let me just
They're
guess
rich.
They're
they're
rich. Oh, okay.
Let me just tell you again, it's tonight, it's glamorous, it's fun, it's 10 o'clock on ABC, 9 Central, and we're going to come back. Well, we don't have kings and queens. We have presidents and
Have our
first
own
ladies.
royalty here.
Well, we do have some queens, but we're not. Those are not the ones we're coming back with. Yes. We don't have them here today. We'll be right back with First Lady Michelle Obama and Dr. Jill Biden.
Do you really think that being on the show with a bunch of women, 5 women, who never shut up is going to be calming?
That is the... look, I was trying to find a show that Michelle actually watched. And so I thought that this is it right here.
And she is here today. First Lady Michelle Obama and wife of the Vice President, Dr. Jill Biden, are in Washington at a time in U.S. history where our country is dealing with so many problems at home and abroad. But the two of them are as devoted to making positive change in America as they were the day their husbands took office. We are honored to welcome back to us First Lady Michelle Obama and the wife of the Vice President, Dr. Jill Biden. Well, we know that you are here to talk about what all of us can do to help to support our military serving and here. But it's very rare to have the First Lady and the Vice President's wife together. Sometimes they didn't even get along that well. We should point out, by the way, that you have a doctorate in education. That's why it's
right.
Dr. Jill.
Yeah.
So tell us about your relationship.
Jill is very cool.
And
You had to show up today, and it's the first time you've talked in years, right?
But it was pretty instant. I mean, the Biden family, they're real people. And I think that's what Barack and I both said. You know, our families just clicked. And it was really easy.
Children,
Great
I mean,
grandkids.
yeah.
You know,
Just worked.
that first night, election night in Chicago, all the families were backstage, and it was this rare night in Chicago when it was November and it was 70 degrees, which was odd, and we were outside and everybody was playing and the kids connected, and Jill and I just clicked, and she's funny, so she puts up with my silliness.
We travel together and we have fun together.
They both exercise a lot. They have that in common, I found out.
We'll see
Mrs.
now.
Biden does 5 miles a day.
She's a
Michelle
runner.
sometimes, First Lady, sometimes will exercise twice a day, she's told me. Yeah.
Twice a day? What for?
Well,
Why?
you know what?
You're talking to the wrong people.
You know what, though?
Elizabeth is the only one who can keep up with
Yeah,
that.
make us understand, please, First Lady.
It's just we don't get to walk much, and you know, don't feel sorry for me. It's a little, but we don't walk as much because they don't want you to walk. You can't walk outside, so the amount of steps that it takes just to stay in shape sometimes requires putting in some extra time.
We do a lot of sitting.
I think it's an incredible thing that the two of you are friends, but also kids and grandkids are friends, back and forth, play basketball together, etc. And I think, you know, what Sasha and Malia are, 12 and 9 now?
Yeah, 12
so
and 9.
In terms of advice, not only for the First Lady, but in terms of just having beautiful young women growing up confidently, do you share that wisdom with each other? And Dr. Biden, what wisdom do you have to give the rest of us raising some young girls out there?
You know, I think life is so tough for our young girls, and I think all you can do is hold them close and support them and be non-judgmental, as my mother was. And, you know, I'm sure you'll follow what your mother did for you.
We do a lot of talking. I mean, sometimes it's too much. After our bus tour, I mean, not our bus tour, we were flying around, but our military families tour, I came in, it was 10:30 at night. We were beat. I mean, we did 4 cities in 2 days. And Malia's like, Ma, I need to talk to you. And it was 10:30, and we talked. And we talked, and we talked.
What'd you talk about?
Well, we talked about makeup, actually.
How's President Obama about the fact they're going to be teenagers? Is that kind of, you know, because
he's cool, but you know, all is the first time Malia went out for a party and she was dressed, right? She had her hair done.
And she's tall.
And she's tall, and she had on a pretty dress.
Yeah.
You could see him. He was sort of like, gulp. And I was like, easy, Dad.
It's going to get worse.
It's right. It's only the beginning. It's only the beginning.
These days, and we're heading into the political season, I want to know how you both handle it when there is such criticism of your husbands. Do you discuss it with them? Do you ignore it? Do you just say it goes with the territory? What do you do?
Well, I think, and Joe's had his share of criticism, so, you know, you 30 years or more in political life, it just comes with the territory.
Yes.
It still hurts.
Which,
but,
by the way,
you know.
have you been giving him decaf lately or something? Because what's going on? There is. He sort of took a nap during the president's speech.
He does that to me all the time.
He's gotten so much flack for it, but, you know, he's probably tired, right?
And it's also hot in those rooms.
And there were like 3 people around him that also, we found 3 people around him nodding off too, so it wasn't just
Put him
your
back
husband.
on the caffeine, okay? That's all.
But I remember once asking you something about this, and you said to your husband, I'm glad I'm not in your position.
You know, it is true. I mean, we have, I think, the best positions in government because we get to choose our issues, and they're the issues that we're passionate about, which is why we can be so authentic. I mean, the issues aren't thrown at us like it is for the two of them. So we're pretty blessed. But
when he's really criticized, and when you hear stuff about he isn't born in this country and so on, what do you?
You know, I think about all the good stuff. I mean, and that's, you know, what we have to do in this country is remember who we are. And that's the reason why I like to travel and to get out. Because, look, no matter what people say, when they see you, they're excited and they're proud. And, you know, everybody has their detractors. And that's part of what the political process is all about. But we're one country, and I think people know that. They know that, you know, Joe and Barack are working hard for them. You may not agree, but, you know, that's what I hold on to, and that keeps me going. And you have to do that as the first and second lady. I want to embrace the country that I love, the country that I know is positive and fair. And there's so much of that out there that it's very easy to kind of push that other stuff aside and not take it in. It's easier than you'd imagine.
2012 is coming up. You've been working out twice a day. Are you ready to hit the campaign trail again?
We're
you
ready.
Pulling up your sleeves, you getting ready to go? Road trip.
Yeah. Jill's driving. Jill and Michelle in a bus. Yeah, really.
Boy, we'd like to be on that bus with you.
You're right.
Well, when we come back, because I know you want to talk about military families, and we have all of them here as well, we're going to come right back with the First Lady Michelle Obama and Dr. Biden to tell us about what we can do to help military families. We'll be right back.
Thrilled to have them. We're back with First Lady Michelle Obama and the wife of the Vice President, Dr. Jill Biden. You know, you guys have teamed up with something called Joining Forces, a campaign to help military families and members of the military. Tell us specifically what that is.
Well, we're trying to expand public awareness because our military families sacrifice so much for us, and most Americans are probably like I was. Not really recognizing the sacrifices and the challenges that these families make. And one of the reasons why we connected was that this was an issue that we shared. We didn't even know it. Jill's a Blue Star mom, and I had met so many military spouses on the campaign trail whose stories just moved me to the point of thinking that if I get in this position, I'm going to use this platform to tell their stories. And when you hear their stories, you're ready to jump on board. It's just that we don't know they're there. So we're creating public awareness, and we've got a lot of support, but we want to focus on employment because that's a huge challenge with military spouses with all their transfers. Mental health and wellness, which is a big issue, not just for our troops, but for their families. And, of course, Jill's favorite, education.
You know, it's very interesting because I didn't realize that only 1% of the population, which is about 2.2 million people, serve in our military. And a lot of people don't know anybody that's serving. So there's a little bit of a disconnect here. What would you say we need to do to bridge that disconnect between us and military and their families?
Well, I would say go to your schools or your churches or your communities and find out the families who are. For instance, if you're in the National Guard, you're not on a base, so you're in a community somewhere. These are our citizen soldiers, like my son is. And find out who those families are and commit to an act of kindness, whether it's taking over a pizza or helping to mow the lawn or whatever it is that you decide to do.
The website also makes it incredibly easy. I have to tell people, if you go on the Joining Forces website, you could just pop in your zip code and up come all ways that you can get active in your community. It could not be more easy to do, and it gives you the address, the number.
Joiningforces.gov, by the way.
It's outstanding.
And one of the things I always want to let people know is that there are a group of families that are called Gold Star families. And these are the families who have given the ultimate sacrifice. They've lost a loved one. And I want every American to know what a Blue Star family is, having someone who served, what a Gold Star family is. We should know that there are those groups of families out there, and they're in every community. So the first challenge is that we need to look into our own communities and find out who those families are, because you know what? They're proud. They are not going to ask for help. First of all, they're handling their business under some huge odds. So many times you won't know that they're struggling because they're so on it. And the spouses are some of the smartest, most best educated Americans that you'll find. So they kind of just blend in. But this campaign is about taking the camouflage off and making sure that our country knows that they're there and how we can step up to them, not just now, but for forever.
But you know, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
When I came out earlier and I saw this audience, it almost, I think for all of us, it tears you up.
It does.
But, you know, the war, we still have a very dangerous war, and you wonder why sometimes anyone would want to enlist. And there are more and more Americans want this war in Afghanistan to end. They just want us to get out. What do you say?
You know, when I talk to our troops, they're proud to serve, first of all. They're proud of their service, and so are their families. They do their job. And there's a level of discipline. It's hard to describe, but if you go on a base, if you talk to some of these young people...
What if you say to Americans in general who say, we want out?
Well, I don't think anyone wants war, but there are times that it's necessary. And if we want to live in a society where we have our freedoms protected, this is the 1% that's making the sacrifice for all of us. It's part of our democracy in so many ways. So, yeah, no one wants war. But the other thing that I'll say is that the end of the war doesn't end the need of support, because these issues for these families go on forever. You have a loved one who's lost a limb. You have a loved one dealing with the stresses of combat. That lasts forever. So this isn't just a wartime or a peacetime effort. This is what we have to do for these families now and forever.
And
I think that's what joining forces is all about. We're trying to change the culture in America. So we're trying to, like for instance with the schools, to make teachers aware of what military children go through who have deployed parents. So if that becomes part of the culture of the school, then we're hoping that this is for generations and generations, long past the Obama-Biden administration.
You know, it's such a compassionate call to action, which I love. It goes far beyond and extends beyond the conversation. And as I said, the website is outstandingly and easy to use.
Good.
It's also become a little bit controversial because of former General McChrystal's appointment on the board. And so I think a lot of people are asking, because practically he seems to me the best appointment. General McChrystal retired after disparaging remarks were made about the president and vice president under his control. And also, Pat Tillman's mother, fallen soldier, is protesting the fact that he's on this board because she believes he was part of the cover-up of her son's death. So it seems to be many people are thinking this is a controversial appointment. Practically, he seems like the best choice, and I know he'll do a wonderful job. Well, how do you answer that?
Well, he is the best choice. Decades of service. We wanted to find someone that had the respect of the community, and he does, who understands the issues, and he does. He's also a part of a broader board. I mean, we've got people like Patty Shinseki, who knows the education issues inside and out. We're looking for someone from the private sector, because we want to continue to get those collaborations. We've gotten great support from companies like Sears and Kmart and Walmart, and Disney has stepped up, and Sesame Street. We need some corporate leadership as well. But General McChrystal has served this country well. He knows these issues, and we're proud to have him on board.
Is there a conversation with Mrs. Tillman at all?
No, we haven't had one. We haven't had one.
You know, for as long as I can remember, as this war has gone on, a lot of folks have stepped up and talked about military families. Cher's talked about the military family, talked about the fact that there were so many things that weren't looked after when it comes to our soldiers and their families. Gary Sinise has been involved in all this. Why do you think this is taking so long? Is it because we're not bombarded as we were during Vietnam with images on a daily basis, and so therefore it seems to be over there?
It's a volunteer army.
What is it?
Well, and I think it's like Michelle said, it's only 1% of the population who are serving, so I think probably people don't know military families or don't know the military families in the community. So that's what joining forces is all about, trying to create awareness and saying, okay, where are military families in my community, because I want to help.
And we're also highlighting the communities that do work around military families, because there are many communities, San Antonio, we visited, where they're doing some fabulous things with the community. We want to shine a light. But World War II was a time when the whole country went to war.
Right.
Yeah.
There was somebody in everybody's family
Right.
that went to war, and that's not the case. We're relying on these brave men and women who are willing to step up. You know, shoot, just watching basic training would scare a lot of people away. You know, and just try to get through that. But, you know, these are the young people who have it in their heart. One soldier mentioned to me, he said, and this was in the hospital we visited this past week. He said, you know, I want to serve with other people who want to serve because it makes a difference in the quality of your, you know.
And they're still enlisting.
They're going back. These are
They're
kids
going back.
Wounded warriors are saying, I want to get well and go back in. Yeah,
They
join my
want to get
unit.
healthy. They're comparing how quickly they can get back on their feet. They're
It's kind of amazing.
you know, this country, we need to know these Americans because these are the best. This is the best this country has to offer, and their families. This is the kind of stuff that gets you lifted up, ready to go.
Well, this is a great thing.
Thank you.
Yes, we are going to speak to some of these families. Thank you, First Lady Dr. Biden. We got some incredible. When we come back, we're speaking to some incredible military families. We're going to be right back.
President Dr. Jill Biden are making sure that every American supports our brave soldiers and their families they leave behind. Right now, we want you to meet some of the women from Fort Drum, New York, who are devoting their time to getting military families the financial, educational, and emotional support that they need. Welcome. Thank you. We're so happy that you're here. You know, we want to start with Sonia Patton, who's here. Your husband, Sergeant Major Kenneth Patton, has been in Afghanistan since 2010. He was also in Kosovo and Kuwait. Will you tell us a little bit about the Fort Drum Family Team Building Program?
Well, with Army Family Team Building, the thing is that the program works by empowering family members, soldiers and civilians, by educating them on the Army life, Army style, but most of all, being part of that Army family, self-resiliency skills and basic leadership skills. So, you know, just an awesome program to be a part of and educate yourself about being in the Army.
And what a community to build, too, and find that support through one another. It's incredible. It really is. And, oh, go ahead.
We have Tiffany Wingert, and your husband is Captain Jason Wingert. He just left for Afghanistan last month. This is his 4th deployment over to Afghanistan. So you were named Fort Drum's 2011 Volunteer of the Year. What kind of work have you done to receive this honor?
Well, just being a part of that Army family, like Sonia mentioned. I volunteer as a FRG leader for our families, and my job there is to assist our families in learning about the opportunities that are out there, educating them about the ways of the Army, and then just being there for them when they need support during deployments and things. And then, of course, supporting our soldiers while they're overseas as well through care packages and other things to boost their morale and keep them motivated.
And FRGs are family readiness groups.
Okay.
So that's a huge support system.
Obama, a lot of these people don't ask for help, do they?
Oh, no, they're highly competent, and that's the training too. It's like you kind of just get it done. But you know, now it's time for us to help.
Get back.
To step up. They shouldn't have to ask.
You're right.
But they handle, as I said, they handle it so well. And just pointing out, I mean, these are families that are dealing with multiple deployments for months on end. So you could be deployed for 10, 12 months, 6 months, come back. Just when you start to reintegrate, you're redeployed. So and because of the length of these wars, and because we're dealing with just 1% of the population, there isn't a lot of readjustment time. You know, you think about it, if you have small kids, dad's been gone. I met a young woman who's a single parent mother, 3-year-old, she was deployed, son had to be with grandparents. She's missed a couple of years of his life. And that is the standard situation for most of these families. So when we think about stress, we think about mental health, we think about the moves that go along with the deployments. It's amazing what these families go through and still take care of business.
The entire family serves. We have a couple here that's very special to us. Shantae Burleson, your husband, Sergeant Burleson, is sitting right next to you. Just returned from Afghanistan last month, and we want to thank you for your service, sir. Now, your work, Shantae, actually is geared towards helping the kids in Afghanistan, correct?
We do. We send, during the last deployment, we sent over 1,400 complete school kits with notebook paper, pencils, things like that, that we gathered up and sent to the soldiers deployed, and they distributed them to their areas of operation to the Afghan children. And we had our children involved in it as well, so they were a part of packing up the supplies and sending them over. So it gives the soldiers a way to connect with the local community there, too.
It is absolutely remarkable. The amount of giving that goes on with the military and their families, it's endless. It really is. It seems like a no-brainer that everyone would be involved. If you were to tell everyone today to do one thing, what would it be? Go to the website?
Go to joiningforces.gov and find out what you can do in your community. Because in any
if you're
school,
not in the community.
Yeah.
A lot of us are not.
But you can put in your zip code, and it gives you the community that you can work within.
You could do, your child's school could do exactly what you've done, and they could collect supplies and do boxes for soldiers, for instance, and send, to female soldiers or to male soldiers. And so there's all kinds of ideas on the website.
There are, some of the statistics that we read about homelessness with veterans, or I think someone told me that every day 18 service members take their own lives. I mean, specifically for those causes, what can we do or what is being done? I think everyone wants that to change, obviously, but practically, what sort of things can be done or are being done?
Well, I think alleviating some of the stress. I mean, the notion, for example, that we have any homeless veterans should be unspeakable in this country.
It's not like they cut the military budget very often, so where's that money going?
Employment stresses are just as important, but we also have to destigmatize mental health issues, and that's a challenge in the society broadly. We've got to make it so that these families and our troops feel comfortable talking about these issues, and they're not feeling like they're going to be penalized. We need more mental health professionals.
When they come home, is that what they're facing?
Absolutely. There is a disincentive to acknowledge the mental stresses. And some of that has to deal with how we deal with mental health.
Sergeant, maybe you could tell us what some of the stresses are when you came back.
Dealing with being gone for 6, 12, 15 months at times is stressful enough as it is. When you come home, my wife has had the burden of dealing with everything since I was gone. And just me and her reintegrating that back, sharing that load. I know I couldn't do what I do now if it's not for her.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. We have incredibly giving military families here and across the world. For more information we want to give you on the Joining Forces campaign, just check our website. We will be right back. Thank you.
On The View, all of us want to thank First Lady Michelle Obama and Dr. Jill Biden and all of our incredible servicemen and women. We want to wish our Jewish friends a happy Passover, and I know that you're going to stay home tonight and watch my special on the royal wedding, 10 o'clock ABC. Enjoy The View. Okay.